Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. And once again, it's a Racing Around the World morning. We'll have some Dubai races in the mix today. Thanks for tuning in a little bit early because we have an early start at Gulfstream. They have 11:30 is their first post at Gulfstream on a big Fountain of Youth card. But again, Dubai Super Saturday, which is essentially prep races for the Dubai World Cup the end of March. So again, all of that action today, this morning, and into this afternoon as well, with great stakes action. Again, the Fountain of Youth card at Gulfstream, Gotham Day, and good undercard stakes in New York. You have great stakes action out in Southern California as well, a Derby prep out there with a couple of big Baffert runners. So big day of racing ahead. Yesterday, we caught up with David Aragona, morning line odds maker in New York, and also Daily Racing Forum, Time Forum, and whatnot. Got some of his thoughts on the New York Stakes action, and also thoughts from Fountain of Youth from David as well. And we also talked to Brian Nadeau from Gulfstream Park, looking at the stakes action at Gulfstream today. So they're both coming up. Again, we taped them yesterday for a preview of nice stakes action on this Saturday. But again, it is a Dubai Super Saturday, previewing some of the action you might see in about 4 weeks or so for Dubai World Cup night. Race number 2 in Dubai is coming up shortly. So we'll go to that. We'll come out of that and head to our interviews as the morning progresses. We'll have David Aragona pop on first, and then a little bit later on, Brian Nadeau. But again, race number 2 coming up at Meydan in Dubai. Charles Appleby, William Buick have the number 4 horse coming up. Mountain Breeze looks legit in here. Do you want an option? Maybe the number 5 horse, Octane's worth taking a look at in the short field. But again, Appleby Buick teaming up with Mountain Breeze. The 4 looks awful tough in this upcoming second race at Dubai. Let me alert you before we go to Dubai to catch up with that second race. There is a fan appreciation day today at O'Toole's, right down Central Avenue from us. Nice location, always a fun crowd in there. If you want to stop by, it's a fan appreciation day. Food, vouchers, PPs, a contest. So keep that in mind for a little bit later on this Saturday afternoon. Fan appreciation day at the O'Toole's Easy Bet. But now let's head to race number 2 at Dubai. When we come back, David Aragona, Brian Nadeau. I'll jump in a little bit later on. Take it away.
Trial, Megan.
Yes, I suppose Mountain Breeze did quicken up pretty impressively, and that she wasn't for catching, but Octans will certainly appreciate a bit further in distance tonight. It will help her up in trip, but I can't see her closing the gap and reversing that form. I just said to Charlie Appleby there, I hope the girths are nice and tight this time around. We don't want to be giving William anything to worry about. But
that was I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. As in, you've seen a saddle go before, but not a horse go and still win on the bridle. It was kind of a strange one.
Hopefully a bit smoother this time around. But no, he assures me that the girths are nice and tight, and Mountain Breeze, she's a little edgy, isn't she? And she was on her toes in the prelims, but she looked great in herself. She's from a talented family, and I think up and trip shouldn't be an issue.
All right, well, there they are circling before the start. Did you want to give a mention to anything else? You've got time to, Megan, but you absolutely don't have to. We've touched on Mountain Breeze. We've touched on Octans. I suppose next top rated is Lakpa. But again, a stretch perhaps to see her go and score.
I think so. I think we've covered the bases really. I think William will just look to keep everything pretty simple, use that turn of foot we've seen Mountain Breeze show previously, and try and give her an easier race as possible. And I think it will be exactly that.
Yeah, last year's winner did line up in the Guineas at Newmarket. That proved a stretch too far. She then went to America as well. So we expect Manta Breeze to take this and go on to even better back home in the UK. But we'll see what happens. She's got to go and win this first pack.
Thank you, Tom. La Senora coming up. That's half of the field loaded away. Too many to load forward here as well. It's Mountain Breeze certainly striking a bit of fear into a fair bit of the competition, but she does have a couple of horses who well and truly earned their place in this field for 800,000. The Emirates Skywards, Jamira 1,000 guineas. As you mentioned before, a race that we had plenty of sensation in last time around.
Last one coming in.
We'll be keeping our eyes on the Royal Blue here as they have a good bid with a really smart filly here in Mountain Breeze, looking to back it up from the Moore Stakes last start. Set to run. And racing in the Jamira 1,000 guineas. Luck for the French filly, a little slow. We'll head back to the end. It was the Spaniard in Octans who's going to go up and lead in the early stages, and they're going at a pretty sedate pace early. Reined in second position was Mountain Breeze to head in behind the leader. La Senora is going to creep up to sit up in second. It was 3 lengths back from the initial division to Rain du Ciel, 3/4 of a length to Could She Be Magic, and half a length now to Luckbo, who's a little keen, but is having to take its medicine at the back of the field here and sit last, where it's Octans at the 1,100 metres, who leads the Jamira 1,000 guineas field to the top turn. Into second, a length away, La Senora. Mountain Breeze getting the run of the race in behind and plenty of cover. A length and a half to Rain du Ciel, working alongside to the outside of Could She Be Magic, and Lakba would be 7 or 8 lengths away from the leader, which is Octans, past the 750, out by a half a length now of La Senora, who gets a little closer. Now, this has provided Mountain Breeze a little bit of a concern here. Plenty of time to let the race unfold, but the gap isn't going to appear as quickly as it did last time. She's up in cluttered room from Could She Be Magic, Rain du Ciel, and Lakba is last. Mountain Breeze now gets plenty of room to run, but it is the Spaniard she has to chase down in Octans, but doing so now, Mountain Breeze, coming up to the outside here, and the daughter of Lope de Vega goes past Octans, who is very game to stick on in the late stages. They're broken away from Lakba, who's run on from last, but going from strength to strength is Mountain Breeze, a filly on the way up. Mountain Breeze way too good. Beats home Octans, who has won a really nice race in second. Lakba third over from Could She Be Magic. La Senora dropped away, and the last one home, Rain du Ciel. Pretty easy work there for Mountain Breeze. The wonders of a nice big track like Meydan. There's no need to panic as well. William Buick knows this circuit better than most, and he's just got Mountain Breeze out into clear air. A nice small field here, 1:38.06, the winner's time, well outside of.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resorts Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Happy to be joined now by our friend David Aragona, Daily Racing Form, Time Form, Morning Line for Naira, and more. And I thought we'd catch up with him to talk some of the New York Stakes, but we'll hit on some other news and notes as well. David, good morning.
Morning, Seth.
Happy to have you on board to talk a little New York action. Before we get to that, a great stakes action on Saturday, and we'll hit on a few of those, but I wanted to go back because I was checking out your Twitter, certainly when you wrote it, but I went back in anticipation of this. You had the time comparisons on the Saudi card, which I thought was interesting last year to this year, and it was notable, the Saudi Cup, and certainly social media was abuzz after the results last weekend. What were your thoughts with the victory for Forever Young?
I mean, if you're a fan of horse racing, you just had to love that race. Two horses that are at their absolute peaks, just throwing it down. The best dirt horse in the world, arguably, and the best turf horse in the world, just battling down the stretch together. I mean, it was thrilling to see. I mean, you kind of wish that race could have happened a little closer to home so you could see it live. But no, it was a great race. And those time comparisons that I posted, it's just kind of a testament to what a horse Forever Young is, because I think one of the conversations coming out of Saudi Cup Day last year was how fast that Saudi Derby was relative to the Saudi Cup, and 3-year-olds running arguably faster than the older horses. And this year, the opposite, with Forever Young running in the main event, just an extremely fast race compared to the other dirt races on that card. And I know none of the North American-based speed figure makers are going to tackle making things for that card, but if they did, I think you could be confident it would be a very high number.
Yeah, I would love to see that. But also, did you see on Twitter that the jockey cam for Forever Young? I thought that was fascinating to see horses come up on the inside of him, the outside of him, and then he kind of digs in and tips out and gets the victory. That was as exciting as the actual pan shot on the stretch run.
No, I didn't watch that, but I'll have to check it out after this because that is a cool angle to see. I've seen a few of those in some major races.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun because, as I say, the horses go by him and then it gets the grit, and it was a big effort. And again, it was a big effort also from the place horse who had never tried the richest horse in the world, but had never tried the dirt before. And again, social media was a buzz, and you say it'd be fun to have it closer to home. I don't know whether we'll get Romantic Warrior over here. Forever Young, certainly. But boy, if those two wound up in the Breeders' Cup, it would be a great start to the year and a great end to the year.
Yeah, I don't know what the plans will be with Romantic Warrior. Obviously, him running so well on the dirt, it opens up some new doors for him, and he's a gelding, so I guess they could run him for as long as he's in top form. But, very exciting.
Yeah, no question. It was a fun weekend. And a fun weekend on this side of the ocean. And again, in New York, there's big action in Florida, also out in Southern California as well, really coast to coast. But let's concentrate a little bit on New York action. Let's kick things off taking a look at the Gotham Grade 3 event, $300,000, a mile trip. I am totally intrigued, and I pulled up a replay to Damon Runyon. We're going to watch number 2 Sand Devil get it done for win number 3 and start number 3. Now, had to work for it. You'll see Sand Devil's number 2 and National Identity's the number 5. That said, I think National Identity stands a chance of turning out to be a good New York bred himself. So I think this gutsy victory was maybe complimentary to Sand Devil, that he had the 2 easy victories before. I like that he gutted this one out. So I'm really intrigued to see what he does. Sacrosanct comes in also as an undefeated New York bred. Brad Cox brings in Flood Zone off a nice maiden breaker. And McAfee is interesting in the seasonal debut for Rick Dutrow off a couple of good tries in Kentucky last year. An intriguing field. How did you see the Gotham?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hold it against these main players that they are New York breds, because the top 3 choices on the morning line that I set are all New York breds. So it is kind of a meeting of the top runners in this crop that were bred in New York. I mean, I do think Sand Devil's the one to beat. I liked the grit they showed last time. I think the race maybe got a little closer than it needed to be because Jose Lozcano was very conservative early in the race, and they went so slow. I imagine that they were cognizant of the fact that they were probably going to be running him back in 3 weeks off that effort. So he did what he had to do. But this horse has shown a lot of talent, and he's handled the mile before. I think he's legitimate. I know that some people don't necessarily view this Gotham as a race that's going to produce major Kentucky Derby contenders, but Sand Devil's running just as fast as a horse we're going to see on the West Coast later in the day in Barnes based on the Beyer scale. So, I mean, I think we still have to learn about who these horses are. And I do think Sand Devil is the one to beat. Nothing against Acrosanct. I mean, he did everything right last year. And a real gritty horse who actually beat that exact same rival, National Identity, when he won that lucrative Stallion Series stakes at the end of the year. And he overcame a fast pace to do it. But he's got to prove his stamina against the tougher field here. And, you know, there are plenty of other horses you can make cases for in this race that appear to have a lot of upside coming in here. Lightly raced horses that feel like they're still on an upward trajectory. One name that I'll throw out that I'm very interested in is the number 2 Normandy Coast coming in for trainer Eddie Keneally. I liked his maiden win at Ellis Park last summer. That was going the 7 furlongs and not the fastest race. He only got a 71 Beyer, but with just routine improvement that you'd project from July of the 2-year-old season now to March as a 3-year-old, you would think this horse could run faster. And his last race, he got a prep in at Fairgrounds, and I thought it was pretty gritty to win that race, fending off some challenges. And he's got pedigree to go longer. So I think this is a horse that has real upside and might get somewhat ignored on the top board here. But, I mean, there are plenty of others that you could highlight, like Calling Card, Garamond, and the 2 that you mentioned, Bloodzone and McAfee, that all could step forward in this race.
Yeah, it's definitely an intriguing bunch. I, too, looked at Normandy Coach. I always find it interesting when horses are kind of this time of year based at faraway locations and elected to come to New York to try a spot like this. They bring the jock with them, so that one's interesting. And I'm glad you made the point about Sand Devil, because, yes, watching that race live as they got to the turn, I was saying, open him up. And then after the race, it sounded like Linda Rice was doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I think that when you're riding a 1-5 shot, you kind of want to make sure you're securing that victory and riding your horse like he actually is the best horse. And, you know, they got a little conservative there, but I wouldn't imagine they'll be conservative in this race, this being the main goal. And they want to get this horse to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
You know, Chester Broman has just been such a stalwart of the New York breeding industry, and this horse's bloodlines go right back on through some of the top horses they've had over the years. So it'd be a nice story if he got there.
Yeah, no question about it. A homebred for Chester Broman. So I'm intrigued to see what Sand Devil does this afternoon. You said folks are questioning maybe the quality of the Gotham, but again, with Sand Devil in, I think it's a decent and a fun bunch to watch. The Busher, though, on the other hand, for the 3-year-old fillies, I'm maybe a little more skeptical in here. Interested to hear your take, but I pulled up a replay going back to January 23rd. We're going to look at the number 8. She's Fascinating, Getting It Done for Tony Dutrow. I thought it was a good seasonal debut. I think She's Fascinating is going to live up to her name potentially, but we have Ramify in here for Chad Brown and Juddmonte. Volleyball Princess off the big win in the Ruthless has to be considered, and Linda Rice, obviously anything she sends out at the meet. She has Fortuna Mia in here, but how did you see the Busher?
It's a pretty competitive race. I don't see a standout in here, but I also had trouble kind of getting to the bigger prices in this race. I mean, she's fascinating. I think she's a wild card after having improved so much last time. Was it the addition of Lasix? Is she just a horse that's coming around at this time? Because obviously a horse like that has to come off Lasix to run in the stakes race now. But she's one that's intriguing. I was kind of interested in the horses coming out of the Busanda because I think they're both going to appreciate cutting back in distance. Ramify was a little against the track that day. I felt like speed was very dangerous on January 18th, and she was trying to come from off it. But also the number 9, Sharp Smile, I kind of view her as the horse to beat for the Brad Cox barn because she's another one that I think is going to like going a little shorter as a daughter of Practical Joke. And she's been improving with every start. I like the outside post because it doesn't feel like there's a confirmed front runner in this race. And it should at least give Manny Franco options because he's got tactical speed with this filly.
Yeah, the 1-turn mile certainly is not going to hurt. The post position is not going to hurt there. You get the whole back stretch, and Manny Franco is just going gangbusters recently. So I'm intrigued to see, who wins, the odds, and then the number coming out of this. Because as I say, so far I'm not totally thrilled with this particular bunch, but we'll see how it plays out post-race. Also on the card on Saturday, the Stymie, be race number 6. These are the older division going 1 mile. I pulled up a replay here of Worcester going back to Laurel earlier this year. And I thought the horse coming in from Maryland for Brittany Russell was a little bit interesting with Sheldon Russell on board. And Brittany Russell, over the past couple of years, has made enough of a name for herself that this one's owned by Starlight, Madiket, and had started the career out in Southern California for Bob Baffert, but has been in Maryland with Brittany Russell and comes in with a couple of wins. That horse is intriguing to me. Winning on weekends, obviously, in with a triple-digit buyer. Yo Daddy goes for Linda Rice. And you made Bank Frenzy the 2-1 morning line favorite for Rudy Rodriguez, and that horse obviously a contender as well. But what are your thoughts on the stymie?
Yeah, I'm starting to think the 9-2 morning line on Worcester might not hold up because it seems like every handicapper I talk to likes this horse. But he has been visually impressive in his last couple of races. It's just Worcester's getting a big class test among the horses that are going to get bet in this race. The others have kind of proved themselves against some tougher horses, and he's got to do so since coming into the Brittany Russell barn. I mean, I've got no real knocks against Bank Frenzy. He just shows up every time. He's run some of the fastest buyers in this race. He loves the 1 mile distance. He loves Aqueduct. I mean, Bank Frenzy is just the horse to beat in my book. I was interested in the number 3, Yo Daddy, another one going out for the Linda Rice barn. I think it's always a good time when Linda kind of strikes while the iron is hot with these horses when they come into good form, and she takes a shot in the stakes race. This is one that's coming back on relatively short rest, having competed 3 weeks ago. But that was a nice race. I mean, he only beat 2 rivals, but he ran a very fast time in doing so. And his speed figures have just been improving, especially since they cut him back to the 1-turn mile, which I think really works for him. And he's got enough tactical speed to be in the mix in a race where it doesn't feel like there are too many front runners in here.
Kendra's having a really good meet as well, which is always fun to see. But yeah, you mentioned Worcester and hearing Handy. I'd never really thought about that before from somebody like your perspective as the morning line odds maker. But I know as a handicapper, and you're a handicapper too, so you can relate to that also. But you get to Wednesday and you look at you're looking at the early PPs and there's a morning line of maybe 8-1 and then over the next 3 days, you're tuning into podcasts and whatnot. Everybody has the horse and there's a sinking feeling. That must be double for the morning line odds maker.
Yeah, I know. And people kind of rely on that price that they see in the past performances that they're going to get it. But if everyone has the same idea, that price is not going to hold up. So we'll see how they actually do play this race.
Also on the card on Saturday, the Tom Fool Grade 3 event. Older horses going a quick 3/4 of a mile. Field of 6 scheduled to go. I pulled up a replay going back. I went back a ways here. Bold Journey to me is going to be interesting on Saturday. I went back to the Gravesend, December of 2023. Subsequent to that, they went over to Saudi Arabia, they went to Dubai, and then, as has been the case for some horses over the years, didn't come back from the Middle Eastern trip to get back to the races until January of this year, and ran a decent little third. But this horse has a really nice record at Aqueduct, and with the fitness race down at Gulfstream, I'm intrigued in Bold Journey here. But again, Linda Rice says Surveillance. Top Gunner goes out for Brad Cox and Michael Dubb. Your thoughts on the Tom Fool?
Yeah, I like Bold Journey a little bit too, but I am concerned about the pace because it doesn't feel like there's a ton of speed in this race. I still think there's a little more speed than there was in that return race where they just went pretty slow up front. 46 and 2 to the half mile at Gulfstream when they came home in 1:15. That's a very slow pace, and a horse like this is always going to struggle in that sort of situation. It has been a long time since he's run one of those top races. I mean, it's well over a year since he won that Gravesend at the end of 2023, and he's 6 years old now. But if he can find those races from the past, I think he does fit very well with this field, as long as the number 2 Top Gunner does not run his last race, because I don't quite know where that came from, but if he repeats it, this field is going to be in trouble. Yeah,
it was a 104 buyer, which I'm just looking down the page. That was 20. Well, no, he has a 95, so it's 9 points. But typically he's in the mid-80s. But you're right. You just never know. I always say when I'm doing the afternoon handicapping show, you can never decide one race good or bad. And so he is going to be a complete puzzle. And you have him 2-1 on the morning line. But players these days concentrate so much on buyer figures. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what he goes off at with that 104.
Yeah, and he's got that early speed that is lacking a little bit in this race.
Yeah.
He seems like he might be naturally quicker than a horse like Ridgewood Runner, who's the other speed in here, if he runs as quickly as he did last time on the front end. So going out for the Brad Cox stable, I think that gives you a little more confidence that a horse like this might be able to repeat the number. He's a tough one to assess as a handicapper, but also from a morning line perspective, because he got the one number last time. If you take that out, he's like an 8 and 10 to 1 shot in this race.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And given that last race, he may take them all the way around, but you have to rely on that. It's an intriguing part of the handicapping puzzle, and we'll see how he does on Saturday. Before we let you go, there are the New York Stakes, and of course, again, you're the morning line odds maker for NYRA, so I thought we'd pick your brain on those, but also folks can check out, you guys from the Daily Racing Forum do a number of podcasts during the week looking at various stakes races and pick plays and whatnot. So I know you looked at a number of the other races, and I asked before we went on if you had some thoughts in the Fountain of Youth, which, again, it's a nice day of Derby preps. There's another nice one out in Southern California with Rodriguez and Barnes. But I think this Fountain of Youth on Saturday at Gulfstream is very interesting. I like Burnham Square. I thought off the Holy Bull, he was worth taking another look at on Saturday afternoon, going the same mile and a 16th trip. But River Thames for Todd Pletcher, coming out of the first 2 starts, which were really nice victories, is also interesting to me. Sovereignty for Bill Mott, 3-year-old debut off a 2-year-old season that wound up with a stakes victory down at Churchill. Of the 3-year-old races coming out of this one, the Southern California, the Baffert runners certainly, but I think there'll be some potent horses to look at potentially coming out of the Fountain of Youth. How did you see it?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting race looking further down the Derby trail, because both Burnham Square and Sovereignty do feel like horses that are going to go on as the distances get longer. To me, Burnham Square just feels like way the horse to beat in this race.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already proven that he can beat a field like this, going this distance at Gulfstream Park, coming from off the pace. He just answered all the questions, and a horse like Sovereignty's got to be able to lay off. River Thames has to prove that he wants to go this far against a tougher competition. So Burnham Square just feels like the reliable option. I mean, I know he's 5-2 on the line. I kind of feel like he's going to go favorite in this race. He's just the one that's attracted the most buzz on the Derby trail coming into this race. And I picked him. I don't have a really clever take against him in here. And he's a horse that I've kind of become a fan of moving forward towards the Kentucky Derby. So I'm hoping he runs well. I want to see what we get from River Thames. I think he's the one that has the most questions to answer, because he's going to get some pressure to the outside from Neo Equos, who is another horse that's stretching out from one-turn races. He's got a little more sprint pedigree on the downside, River Thames does. So I wonder how far he wants to go. Maybe it won't matter too much with the mile and the 16th at Gulfstream. But if he's a short price or a similar price to Burnham Square, I would much prefer the other one. And then Sovereignty, I think they're probably just looking for this horse to come running late, use this as a stepping stone race to the final prep, because he's obviously missed some time since the Street Sense when he won so impressively. I was really taken with that performance, but that was going all the way back to October now. So you want to see where he's at, in the 4 months between then and now.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun race on a fun card down at Gulfstream. Again, lots of great stakes action across the country on Saturday. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, because, you mentioned Burnham Square, who I also like, but it'll be fun if we get Ian Wilkes to move on to the Kentucky Derby this year with a horse. But speaking of fun connections, what do you make of Coal Battle? I think, last week, the 11-1, I think a lot of that played into the connections that people aren't familiar with, because he was coming off the nice win prior. I'm not saying he should have gone off favored, but I think 11-1 was kind of generous. But it was a nice win, and I think Lonnie Briley, that's a nice little side story to this year's Derby trail.
It's a great story. And I mean, he's earned his shot at the Kentucky Derby. He's got the points that he's going to need to be in there. I mean, we'll see if they decide to run him again. But I mean, you have to admire this horse. He's just versatile. He seems to step up every time as the competition gets tougher and raise his game. And you could see, I mean, the trip that he got in the Smarty Jones is totally different to the trip he got in the Rebel. So he can kind of make his own racing luck. So you have to respect a horse like that. He hasn't run that fast yet on the speed figure scale, and maybe that's going to become more of an issue later if some of these preps that happen subsequent to now start to come back a little faster. But as of now, I mean, he seems like he's set up as well as anybody.
And he's adding a really fun story. There's no question about it, which I think is good for the game as well. But I'll also ask you about Sandman, because I was on Sandman 2 starts back. When he had the troubled start and then closes to be the nice second. So I didn't jump off of him last week. But he got a great start last week and still went to the back of the pack and then had to make his way and wound up third in there. I think I'm off the bandwagon just because if that's going to be his style, if he makes it the Kentucky Derby, I think he's up against it a little bit.
Well, he was running on at the end, and I think he was actually finishing a little better in this race than he was in the Southwest, which both also featured a quick pace. Now, he's a horse that I think if you like him, you're just banking on him getting better with distance because he's never run farther than a mile and a 16th. And being a son of Tapit and having all the stamina breeding, it does kind of lead you to believe that he's one that might have further upside as the distances get longer. But you do have to wonder about a horse like that has some gait issues, doesn't have any early speed. You got to hope that the pace develops. But as we've seen over the years, there typically isn't on this pace in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and if I'm off of him, then he probably does stand a better chance as it plays out. David, we always appreciate the visit. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk again in the future.
Yep, thanks for having me.
David Aragona, again, DRF. You can catch, as I say, their social media channels and whatnot, YouTube. David and company for the DRF do a lot of great videos at Timeform and Morning Line Odds Maker for the New York Racing Association, covering the New York Stakes and a little extra action looking at the Fountain of Youth. So appreciate the visit. Stay tuned. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falpa. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a three-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Big day down at Gulfstream on Saturday, so we're happy to be joined by our friend Brian Nadeau. You see him the pregame, you see him paddock commentary, and more. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Seth, good to hear from you. And yeah, what a day. Saturday, Fountain of Youth. It's my favorite day down here at Gulfstream Park. I think it's a racing day, you know, and what a card they put together and all these horizontal exotics and the big pools. So ready to rip the Band-Aid off and have some fun and hopefully pick some winners too.
And it looks like the weather has finally changed, so I can live vicariously watching you a little more. That earlier this winter, everybody up here and even down south, everybody had a little unseasonable weather, but it looks like it's tilting to more Florida-like recently.
Yeah, it's been awesome, Seth. High 70s.
Yeah,
the humidity is still down. Little cut in the temperature in the morning kind of feels good walking outside. So we're getting all the best of it right now. And we actually got some heavy rain on Monday, and we were off the turf Wednesday. But in hindsight, I think, to be honest, it was probably a good thing because we haven't gotten a lot of it, and we were ready to roll for Saturday on a fast and firm turf course.
And just, you mentioned the nice day and the various pick bets and whatnot. It'll be a great day of watching, wagering. But I do want to promo as well. Sunday, you have a mandatory coming up.
Yeah, so, a couple of race days before that. But if we're fortunate enough to get there on Sunday, of course, 5 million or so should be in the pool. And I really hope everybody has a winning weekend to get to Sunday because Seth, that is one hell of a sequence. That is, boy, oh boy, you need a lot of coverage, and it's very difficult.
Again, Sunday mandatory, so that to look forward to as well. But Saturday, great card, highlighted by the Fountain of Youth with undercard stakes as well. We'll go through a few of them, and we'll start with the Fountain of Youth. Really intriguing. You know, across the country, nice 3-year-old preps. Gotham up in New York and out in Southern California have a couple of Baffert runners with, you know, Rodriguez and Barnes, the folks will be focused on. But I think this is going to produce some nice runners going forward. The Fountain of Youth Grade 2 event, Milan is 16th. I pulled up a replay of River Thames breaking through the second, you know, the first condition, second start of the career, broke the maiden in the debut, and then won the second start, 2 for 2 for Todd Pletcher, the number 1 horse, River Thames. I put that one underneath, though. I have Burnham Square on top. I was impressed with this Holy Bull. Sovereignty is interesting. Gate to Wire. Keep it easy for Dale and West Point. How did you see the Fountain of Youth?
Yes, it's an interesting race. It's a darn good race too. We have some high quality individuals here. I think what you have to remember is kind of the old who wants to win on Saturday.
Yeah.
And who maybe isn't as concerned to win on Saturday. And I think River Thames, I'm not going to say he has to win on Saturday, but I think he's cranked up to win on Saturday because, you know, they got to find out if he's a Florida Derby, Kentucky Derby horse, or, you know, is he a Woody Stevens, Alan Jerkins kind of horse? And we'll figure that out on Saturday. And he's my pick. I think he's in a good spot. Short stretch finish line should flatter him. I don't know if at the end of the day, as a son of McLean's music, he's going to be a true two-turn horse, but I think he's in a very good spot in the Fountain of Youth. I'm not going to say I'm against Burnham Square. Boy, he was so good winning the Holy Bull. I just don't know if I've come around to him yet, and you know, he's got that in his pocket, so how cranked is he? The horse I'm really against is Sovereignty. He just looks to me like, A, he's a short horse, and B, this is not a configuration that is going to cater to his running style, which is going to come from off the pace. He's really up against it. He was outworked, comfortably outworked by a stablemate named Shellax, who's entered earlier on the card. That work is on XBTV, and Shellax looked really good. I did not think Sovereignty looked all that good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And lastly, don't sleep on Gate to Wire.
I was about to ask you, I talking to people this week, he seems to be getting a little ignored as the other Pletcher. I find him interesting too.
Yeah, he was handed the swell the way the race unfolded, 3 horses across the track going crazy fast, but it was also his first race on dirt. He ran a 2 on the thoroughgraphs, which would, you know, that was that one turn, and he got a great set of circumstances. A 2 is way faster than anything anybody in here has run. So I'm definitely playing him in my exotics.
Yeah, I agree. Very interesting. All right, race number 14 on the card is the McDiarmid and Milan 3/8 on the grass. I pulled up a replay. We're going to look at the McKnight a little bit earlier in the meet, and it's going to be number 13, Dashman, getting it done for Brian Lynch. I like him again on Saturday. I mean, he's stuck outside, but at 3 turns, you have plenty of time. In this race, he's winning here. He left from the 12 that day. So he's interesting to me. Missed the cut for Cherie DeVoe, who's just going so well. Tyler Gaffleone on board. Grand Sonata, Segoy. Interesting field in here. What did you see in the McDiarmid?
Yeah, it is. This is a terrible post position for Dash, man. It's much better. The McKnight was 1.5 miles, so he's got a longer run. Today, he is essentially starting on the bend. And I don't know. That race is so funky. He ran so well. I kind of wonder if he comes back a little bit today. I actually like his stablemate, Seth, because Anglophile just kind of, they loped around in the McKnight. I think he needed the race. He was a good third in this race last year. He's drawn perfectly down inside. He'll be a square price. He's the other Brian Lynch. He gets, you know, one of the best finishing jockeys in the world in Joel Rosario. This is a race where I'm just basically going to use all of them. But Anglophile is my long shot pick on the card on Saturday. We'll call him the other Brian Lynch.
You mentioned jockeys, and we're actually taping this on Friday, and I was watching you guys talk a little bit about the races on Friday. Frankie Dettori in town, and he's going to be spending, it seems like, most of the rest of the meet down in Florida. That'll be interesting. And the horse you liked in the last race, John Velasquez, is on board. How about John? He wins one of those races over in Saudi Arabia last week. He's just an incredible career for Johnny V.
Yeah, so Frankie first. We just talked about it, actually. This will be the first time he's down here for an extended kind of stay. He's come and gone a few times, but that's pretty cool to see him down here. He'll be able to, ply his trade as a, immortal jockey. And yeah, what else can he say about John Velasquez? You're right, straight no chaser over there in the Middle East, and he was back on Thursday with a potential another Derby horse with Grande. He was so good for Fletcher and Rapoli. So, he's got an embarrassment of riches right now, and he's earned it.
Yeah, just a couple of incredible names on the jockey side. Both of them nice guys as well. All right, the 12th on Saturday at Gulfstream, the Honey Fox mile on the turf. I pulled up a replay, the Tropical Park back in the middle of December. It will be number 5, See You Around, getting it done for Christophe Clement. Subsequently, started this season over at Tampa in the Endeavor. We had an okay second, but I think See You Around's interesting. I'm going to put In Our Time on top, the Safi runner, coming out of a second in the Tropical Park Oaks, and a third in the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Poolside with Slim's interesting to me. I've liked Pounce throughout the career for Mark Cassie. Another really intriguing field. Your thoughts on the Honey Fox?
Yeah, it is. It's a wide open race. In Our Time is my best bet on the day. So if she doesn't win, I won't win on Saturday. She just looks down the road, loose and controlling to me. The turf course, all championship meet has been a paved highway. It's fast, it's firm, it plays to speed no matter how fast they go. And there's no one in this race that can run with her. It really looked like she might gut the field in the Pegasus in her last start. She got a little late. That was her first start against older horses in a stakes race. She ran remarkably well. She actually cuts back a little bit on Saturday, and I don't see anybody running with her early or late. She is a lead pipe single for me, Seth.
Yeah, I like her as well, but an intriguing race in there. Race number 11, the Gulfstream Park Mile, an intriguing race, a number of levels. You have Mind Frame as even money. I'm going to be intrigued to see what the horse goes off the layoff, and ran a little inconsistently in the last couple of starts as a 3-year-old. I did pull up a replay, however, of the Haskell from last year. This was the last start for Mind Frame, finishing second behind Dornoch in that Haskell. Also had finished second behind Dornoch in the Belmont at Saratoga earlier. 4 starts in the career, has clearly flashed a bunch of talent, Rapoli and Pletcher. But as I say, interesting off a layoff since July. And Cino's intriguing to me. I'm going to take a pop just in here off the layoff with Mind Frame with Steel Sunshine. But what are your thoughts in the Gulfstream Park Mile with Mind Frame?
Well, the layoff is clearly, the old elephant in the room. And I think at the end of the day, Mind Frame is going to cut his hay going longer than this with an extra turn as well. But he is like a horse of the year kind of horse. He's going to, assuming he comes back correctly, he's going to win multiple Grade 1 races this year. And, I know Steel Sunshine won this race last year. They're not in the same league. So I'm not looking to beat Mind Frame in this spot. He's a single for me. To me, it is Steel Sunshine underneath. I'm against Encino. I don't really have, I think he's a little dressed up, and I wasn't impressed at all with his comeback. I'm just excited to see Mind Frame come back, Seth. And I understand trying to beat him or taking a little bit of trepidation. Obviously, it's been a layoff. He's inside. It's a distance that doesn't figure to be his best, but I kind of just think he's way too much racehorse in here.
He is clearly the one to beat. There is no question. 3 triple-digit buyers, which tower over this field. And if he comes back ready, he is clearly the one to beat. So as I say, I'm taking a little flyer, but on on multiple race tickets, he's clearly has to be in the mix. Let's wrap it up. 3-year-old boys in the Fountain of Youth, but as is typical on these kind of cards, the 3-year-old girls are also in the mix. And so The Devona Dale will be that version on Saturday down at Gulfstream. They're going to go a mile, grade 2 event, $215,000 up for grabs. I like Lucara. I thought she looked really good in the seasonal debut over at Tampa for Mark Casse. I think she's legit. Dylan Davis on board, but the Queen's MG could be intriguing. Ballerina d'Oro, Chad Brown runner. Interesting race in here. What did you see in the Devona Dale?
Yeah, I think it's a lot like the Fountain Youth, Seth. I mean, who's best served to win today, and who's the best served going forward? And I think clearly today is, like you said, it's Lucara. It's a one-turn mile. She just dominated the Suncoast at Tampa, and she just has a massive tactical edge on the main rival in Ballerina d'Oro. I think probably at the end of the day, I'd much rather have Ballerina d'Oro going forward. She looks like a Kentucky Oaks kind of horse for Chad Brown, but she does not look like a Gulfstream Park one-turn mile horse to me. She has no speed whatsoever. So we'll get Lucara today and Ballerina d'Oro, down the road, maybe the first Friday in May. I'm against. I don't like the Queen's MG. I admittedly have always been against her. She looks slow to me. She ran okay in the forward down, middle move, and kind of tired late. But she is a comfortable third in the pecking order for me in this spot.
Yeah, as I say, I really like Lucara in that seasonal debut. I'm going to be interesting to see if she can follow that up nicely for Mark Casse. Brian, appreciate the visit and the conversation. Looking forward to enjoying the races on Saturday, tuning in pregame show with you and the team down there and the paddock commentary and whatnot. Say hello to everybody down there, and we'll see you in just about a month now.
We will see you, 4 weeks from Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And best wishes to you and everybody back home, and good luck as well. Fun day on Saturday, and glad that you're all part of it.
Yeah, very good. Brian Nadeau, Gulfstream Park, big day on Saturday, Fountain of Youth, and a solid lineup of undercard stakes.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Back, and thanks again to David Aragona and Brian Nadeau. We caught up with them yesterday for pre-tape interviews, taking a look at some of the really nice stakes action today. Coming up later on, but nice stakes action this morning also on a Super Saturday from Dubai. Upcoming now is the third race around the world, as it were. Nice full field in here in the third race at Meydan. Fort Payne, to me, is maybe an interesting play. If you're looking for a price, more logical horses, William Buick on board the number 5 Local Dynasty. And I will say T.O. St. Denis, horse that we're kind of familiar with, ran third. It's a Japanese runner, and these days you have to pay attention to the Japanese runners internationally, obviously, but ran well in the Ali Shiba here last year, last seen trying the Dirt Mile and the Breeders' Cup. So again, T.O. St. Denis, the 16 horse, also a little bit intriguing perhaps in this upcoming third race at Dubai. So why don't we send it out to Meydan, third race at Dubai, and I'll come back briefly and wrap up the show.
And also King Gold. New Kingdom loading away. That'll leave 2. Mendelssohn Bay, Mubaka. The last 2 to be brought forward. The Guineas winner, Mendelssohn Bay. He's had a couple of lull runs, but he's certainly on track to be hitting his straps at the back end of this season. Mubaka the last. Ready to go. Group 3, Bergenahar. Racing. Local Dynasty slow. Cagliostro on the back foot as well. Mubaka's heading back along with Ancient Rome, made in Dubai, to his usual rearward roll. And as they make their way towards the end of the chute here and out onto the course proper, it's Rawi and New Kingdom who are going to lead them early. Tio St. Denis splits them in third from Sound Money, who's got a nice spot on the fence. Then came Mersal from Castle Warden, half a length back to Oasis Boy. Next in running was Mendelssohn Bay, 3 lengths to Fort Payne. Cagliostro's been off the bridle the whole way here so far, not good signs. Half a length back to Mubaka, then came Local Dynasty, who's trying to recover now in the middle stages of the race. Made in Dubai up to third to last from Ancient Rome, and Street Mood has almost been pulled out of the contest here, and he's not being ridden at all by Danny Tudopia. As they come down past the 700-metre mark, it's Sound Money who works through. Underbars Alona to take up the lead from the inside draw. New Kingdom shaken along, Oasis Boy the inside. Then came Castle Warden. Tio St. Denis is going backwards. Then came Fort Payne, Mendelssohn Bay. Rawi also dropping away. Cagliostro tries to improve, but has got a fair bit of traffic in front of him. Local Dynasty, Made in Dubai, takes the short way home again. It's Sound Money leading them here into the straight. In the Bergenahar, Oasis Boy, the best turned out on the night, starting to present, showing a bit of the Oasis Boy of old. Fort Payne looking for another winner as well. It's Oasis Boy and Fort Payne, 2-horse race. Fort Payne coming up to the outside of Oasis Boy. A good tussle in the final 16th of a mile, but it is going to be Fort Payne who strikes gold once again in the Meydan season. There's your win for Nicola Cooley. Goes on to beat Oasis Boy, who was very promising there. He's hit his straps again. Mendelssohn Bay ran on well. Cagliostro, start costly for him. Then came Sound Money, who dropped away. Local Dynasty, Castle Warden. Street Mood, not his night tonight from New Kingdom. Ancient Rome, Made in Dubai, dropping away. Tio St. Denis, his race was done with 600 to go. Mubaka next over, and they were followed there back in the field by Mersal. Fort Payne, great win, and he's picked up a nice victory here. We saw him come to victory last time out around this time of the season. Certainly wasn't on Super Saturday, but he has come to the fore here tonight, the 7-year-old Entire by Rio Dalla.
Again, for tuning in a little bit early today. We did that because coming up shortly will be the pregame show from Gulfstream, probably around 10:30 or so. Their post time will be 11:30, so an early post at Gulfstream on Fountain of Youth Day, 12:40 at Aqueduct. I'll be in this afternoon with OTB Live looking at those tracks and more on what is shaping up to be a really fun day, stakes-wise, around the world, as it were. So stay tuned. We'll have the Dubai races plugged in as well, but the pregame show, as I say, coming up, within a half an hour or so from Gulfstream Park. So thanks again for tuning in, Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Again, back in an hour or so with OTB Live for a late Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. We'll see you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.